Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. There are two different types of people in the world: those who want to know and those who want to believe. I was in darkness, but I took 3 steps and found myself in paradise. The first step was a good thought, the second a good word, and the third a good deed. There will always be rocks in the road ahead of us. They will be stumbling blocks or stepping stones. It all depends on how you use them. You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on I can't believe you. Enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. Nobody is more inferior than those who insist on being equal. The true man wants 2 things: danger and play. For that reason he wants woman as the most dangerous plaything. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. My solitude doesn't depend on the presence or absence of people. On the contrary, I hate who steals my solitude without, in exchange, offering me true company. Young people love what is interesting and odd, no matter how true or false it is. More mature minds love what is interesting and odd about truth. Fully mature intellects, finally, love truth, even when it appears plain and simple. Boring to the ordinary person, for they have noticed that truth tends to reveal its highest wisdom in the guise of simplicity. Love your enemies because they bring out the best in you. The great man is colder, harder, less hesitating, and without fear of opinion. He lacks the virtues that accompany respect and respectability, and altogether everything that is the virtue of the herd. If he cannot lead, he goes alone. He knows he is incommunicable. He finds it tasteless to be familiar. When not speaking to himself, he wears a mask. There is a solitude within him that is inaccessible to praise or blame. Do you want to have an easy life? Then always stay with the herd and lose yourself in the herd. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise, Inu, if you have not first become ashes? The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. There are no facts, only interpretations. Everything the state says is a lie, and everything it has stolen. No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. The world is beautiful, but has a disease called man. It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. Call me whatever you like. I am who I must be. I am a forest and a night of dark trees. But he who is not afraid of my darkness will find banks full of roses under my cypresses. I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and the impossible. The most spiritual men, as the strongest, find their happiness where others would find their destruction in the labyrinth, in hardness against themselves and others, in experiments. Their joy is self-conquest. Asceticism becomes in them nature, need, and instinct. Difficult tasks are a privilege to them. To play with burdens that crush others, a recreation. Knowledge a form of asceticism. They are the most venerable kind of man that does not preclude their being the most cheerful and the kindlest. Insanity in individuals is something rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. When marrying, ask yourself this question. Do you believe that you will be able to converse well with this person into your old age? Everything else in marriage is transitory. We have art so that we shall not die of reality. In loneliness, the lonely one eats himself. In a crowd, the many eat him. Now choose. When a woman has scholarly inclinations, there is usually something wrong with her sexuality. The tree that would grow to heaven must send its roots to hell. I and me are always too deeply in conversation. Loneliness is one thing, solitude another. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. That is the nature of living creatures. Everything matters. Nothing's important. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. There's no defense against stupidity. One can promise actions, but not feelings, for the latter are involuntary. He who promises to love forever or hate forever or be forever faithful to someone is promising something that is not in his power. So long as men praise you, you can only be sure that you are not yet on your own true path, but on someone else's. Every deep thinker is more afraid of being understood than of being misunderstood. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. Nobody can build the bridge for you to walk across the river of life, no one but you yourself alone. There are, to be sure, countless paths and bridges and gods which would carry you across this river, but only at the cost of yourself. You would pawn yourself and lose. There is in the world only one way on which nobody can go, except you. Where does it lead? Do not ask, go along with it. The discipline of suffering, of great suffering. Do you not know that only this discipline has created all enhancements of man so far? That tension of the soul in unhappiness which cultivates its strength, its shudders face to face with great ruin, its inventiveness and courage in enduring, preserving, interpreting, and exploiting suffering, and whatever has been granted to it of profundity, secret mask, spirit, cunning. Greatness, was it not granted to it through suffering, through the discipline of great suffering? Do not allow yourselves to be deceived. Great minds are skeptical. The real question is, how much truth can I stand? You know a moment is important when it is making your mind go numb with beauty. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. The purpose of criminal law is to punish the enemies of those in power. If you know the why, you can live anyhow. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. All truly great thoughts are conceived by walking. They muddy the water to make it seem deep. In heaven, all the interesting people are missing. Man is the only animal that must be encouraged to live. To predict the behavior of ordinary people in advance. You only have to assume that they will always try to escape a disagreeable situation with the smallest possible expenditure of intelligence. Solitude makes us tougher towards ourselves and tenderer towards others. In both ways it improves our character. There are no beautiful surfaces without a terrible depth. Nothing on earth consumes a man more quickly than the passion of resentment. Our greatest experiences are our quietest moments. In revenge and in love, woman is more barbarous than man. And once you are awake, you shall remain awake eternally. Life is the will to power, our natural desire to dominate and reshape the world to fit our own preferences and assert our personal strength to the fullest degree. Men who think deeply appear to be comedians in their dealings with others, because they always have to feign superficiality in order to be understood. One should die proudly when it is no longer possible to live proudly. Is it better to out-monster the monster, or to be quietly devoured? Only he who is man enough will release the woman in woman. Faith, not wanting to know what is true. When we are tired, we are attacked by ideas we conquered long ago. It is my ambition to say in 10 sentences what others say in a whole book. What is the task of higher education? To make a man into a machine. What are the means employed? He is taught how to suffer being bored. If the all-powerful God controls Saturn, he is an accomplice, and if he doesn't, he is not an all-powerful God. All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. I cannot believe in a God who wants to be praised all the time. Silence is worse. All troops that are kept silent become poisonous.